HubSpot makes impossible growth impossibly easy for their customers. And here's the perfect example. Morehouse College needed to reach new students with fresh, engaging content. But with a massive 900-page website, even the tiniest updates took 30 minutes to publish. Breeze, HubSpot's collection of AI tools, helped them write and optimize their content in a fraction of the time. The results? 30% more page views, and visitors now spend 27% more time on their site. If you're ready for impossible growth like this, you can visit HubSpot.com. Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, July 15th. I'm John Weigell with Mark Dent, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. So it's no secret that the movie industry is struggling to get back to pre-pandemic levels. Obviously, the big question here is, why would I go to a movie theater when I can watch anything I want at home with a $10 monthly subscription? Well, AMC for one is hoping that they can lure us back in with discounts and experiences, but how big are the discounts, and can that really turn the tide? We'll get into all that, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. Starting off with some sports here, MoveTrue is a sports tech startup from Northern Ireland that just landed $1.6 million in pre-seed funding. Their primary product is an AI-powered wearable movement tracker meant to help athletes and their coaches proactively prevent injuries. Founder Naomi McGregor dug into biometrics after her own teenage ballet injury and has now signed up UK pro hockey team Belfast Giants to pilot MoveTrue. We'll see how this one goes. Next, the U.S. Postal Service upped its prices yet again. Damn that inflation. Forever stamps are now 78 cents, which is up 7% around, and a variety of domestic shipping services have seen similar increases. Increases will support tech updates, staffing, and customer service improvements. God, I hope, because I cannot go to a post office again. From there, we go to China. Chinese engineer Jim Wang has built the Photon Matrix, a small black box that can track and kill up to 30 mosquitoes per second using an AI-powered laser system. At nearly $500, it's nowhere near as cheap as a citronella candle, but it does look pretty cool, and die mosquitoes die.
That's one use of AI that I think the entire world can get behind.
I think we're all pretty down
Why
for that.
Aren't there billions in funding going into this?
Right.
The best engineers need to be working on this.
That's right. And they're working on stuff like what we're going to talk about next, because in another small inch towards a victory for Meta in the AI race, the social media giant acquired voice startup Play AI. So this is just kind of a drop in the bucket this year. Mark, I'm sure you've heard of all of the billions of dollars of investments that Meta's been making in their AI area. So what do you make of this latest one?
Meta is absolutely just trying to put together the equivalent of like the 1927 New York Yankees,
Really
like the 96 Bulls. I don't know, use whatever sports metaphor you want of the greatest team you could ever assemble here. I mean, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
They're picking up whether it's just employees from different AI companies that they're poaching or, actually acquiring these startups themselves. Obviously, Meta is doing this because, everybody's into AI right now. But when Meta in the past, they've been acquiring whole companies like Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Or WhatsApp a decade plus ago.
Right.
Here, they're acquiring these companies and trying to integrate them more and build something with them instead of just sort of like using them for what they already did.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a test of whether Meta can actually develop something. Here, they're going to have to take these things that have built by others and integrate them into some larger whole of some sort.
Yeah, they clearly are trying to just Frankenstein all of these actors, people, companies into some sort of like perfect AI product that they want to roll out probably across all of their brands and user interfaces. Yeah, I mean, it's really been heating up. As you said, they've been getting talent from other big companies, other huge AI players, and it really seems that they're just investing heavily this year. I wonder what the fruits of that labor will be and whether they can be a contender in the AI space. Obviously, we saw things with them in Ray-Bans. Their AI wearables are kind of starting to gain some ground. But in the race against ChatGPT, OpenAI, and Google, it's got to be tough.
And Microsoft, literally everyone.
Yeah.
But as long as they do better than the metaverse, then maybe that'll be enough for Meta to be happy.
I think they've already done better. At least in my
That's
perspective.
true. Yeah, it's already a win over that.
Yeah. All right, and finally here, beauty leader Maybelline New York signed on as the WWE's first ever official cosmetics partner, with the two aligned on, quote, confidence and self-expression. I hope they just have a Ric Flair Crimson Mask palette coming real soon. Hey everybody, I've been listening to this great podcast lately. It's called Latinx in Power, hosted by Thaisa Fernandez, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So Latinx in Power is a podcast that features interviews with top-level executives, entrepreneurs, and innovators from Latin America, aiming to demystify the tech industry by providing listeners with an insider perspective and insights from Latin American leaders who have succeeded in their fields. A lot of great episodes on this one. My personal favorite recently was an episode with Isabel Alvarez, who is a graphic designer that designs cookbooks. She has 15 years of experience blending editorial design, branding, and experiential design. She really views design as a catalyst for meaningful social change, so I think this is a great episode to get you going with this show. You can listen to Latinx in Power wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, on to movies. Today, we're talking how the movie business has really taken a hit over the past few years and how they're trying to come back. So, Mark, what is AMC trying to do this year to turn the tide?
So last week, AMC announced that they were going to do half-off discounts on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They'd already had a discounted thing on Tuesdays, and so they're just kind of like upping the ante a little bit. And it's for their, Stubs members, so people who sign up for their memberships can get this. And I mean, it depends on what market you're in, but 50% off, you're talking about probably like a ticket between $6 to $8 instead of $12 to $15 or something like that. And, they have these other subscriber programs where people already can go to up to 4 movies a week for $26 a month. So there's a lot of like sort of bargains that AMC is offering. It's a way for them to at least really be nimble and try to get more people in the door. Mm-hmm. They've obviously had a struggling business like many theaters. They've flirted with bankruptcy. Other theaters have filed for bankruptcy over the last few years. So It's a struggle. And I just think that this is, the latest experimentation.
Yeah, it's a good experiment. I think you're right in that. I think the main purpose here is just to get people in the door because, as we've been seeing, it's been really tough, it seems, for movie theaters to get people in when it's not some crazy all-ages blockbuster movie the past few years. Like we're talking like a Minecraft or like a Super Mario movie.
Yeah.
Those have been doing quite well, but it's kind of about the in-betweens that are not doing well. And considering that versus streaming services, how, some streaming services like Disney Plus, maybe you could pay like $8 or $9 a month for unlimited access to a lot of movies. It's very different. But I have noticed, Mark, that some movies are doing theater-only releases versus streaming releases versus dual releases, which I think is part of that trend.
Right. And, it's interesting because there's been this never-ending pall, frankly, of gloom over the movie industry that goes back even before the pandemic, like you said, because of streaming. But in some ways, I think that the movie theater business is better in 2025 than most people thought it would be in 2020. Mm-hmm. I was looking at just some old articles from 2020, and there's headlines that are literally like, "Are movie theaters going to survive?" Like people thought they would be dead within years. They aren't. You look at late 2020, speaking of streamers, like HBO Max and Warner Brothers, at the time when they were owned by AT&T, they came up with a plan that they would release their biggest movies to HBO Max at the same time as during theaters. And so everyone thought, well, that's going to be the future. But, as you were saying, it's still theater exclusivity. And you get a handful of movies, even more than a handful of movies that do extremely well. But at the end of the day, you just have to wonder, how long can this happen? Because the $9 billion or so, which is what the theaters are on track to gross overall by the end of the year, give or take a little bit, that's what they were grossing in the early 2000s, not accounting for inflation. So that's pretty bad. And a discount like this, while certainly a great idea, Tuesday and Wednesdays aren't exactly when families go to the theaters. And families are the ones who really don't like the high prices that happen on the weekends.
Right. To your earlier point, it seems like 2025 is trending upwards. Comparatively to 2024, the box office is up 15% due to like a big second quarter rebound that we saw. But earnings for 2025 are still down by almost 25% compared with 2019. So it's kind of like they're doing better than we expected they would, but it's still not really knocking it out of the park, even considering that deep inflation and the rising cost of movie tickets as well that they're contending with. So it really is a tough situation for them, but they are eking it out. They are kind of powering through. I mean, and what you said, a lot of these blockbusters have to do with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, Jurassic World Rebirth has done quite well in spite of having, pretty bad reviews. Superman did extremely well just over the last weekend. Minecraft movie, the Lilo and Stitch is going to get $1 billion just alone. In the next few weeks, they're saying it's probably going to surpass 1 billion. So yeah. I don't know. There's clearly no good answer for how to make movies just a bit more popular, because compared again to the extreme negative expectations that there were 5 years ago, then theaters are not doing that badly, but they're just not doing quite good enough.
Yeah.
I don't know that the theaters are ever going to overcome that hurdle.
Right.
One thing that AMC is doing to try and get more revenue that I think is going to be bad for foot traffic in movie theaters is, not long ago, they also announced that they'd be showing more advertising at the beginning of films, which is what some other theater chains have started doing. And it's not just where they put an extra 5 minutes of commercials at the beginning of the trailers, they might intersperse them between the trailers. And so studios are fearful that people like me are going to just show up 20 minutes late and just skip the trailers, because no one wants to watch commercials inside the movie theater when you've already paid, $15 or whatever for a ticket.
Right. You paid your premium already. I mean, another way that they've been looking to make money, which I think is a little more productive and it has been going pretty well, I thought, has been the custom popcorn buckets. You remember the Dune one?
Yeah. And all the Saturday Night Live jokes about the Dune popcorn bucket.
Yeah. Come rushing back, right? It was a big deal, good press, bad press, whatever you say. But, those popcorn buckets, custom merchandise that are franchise specific to what people are watching, that has really kind of helped. But it's really trying to blow out the theater experience, I guess, versus the watching at home experience and making it a completely different thing where communities come together and people come together. I guess my big question is, can they do that without, children destroying the theater from the Minecraft movie? There seems to be quite a fine line between there.
A very fine line. And the problem as well with that is those premium add-ons, they just make it more expensive. And the main reason why people don't go to the movie theater anymore, especially families, is that, a family of four, $15 each or something like that. That's $60, popcorn, etc. You're talking close to $100. And as you alluded to earlier, you can pay $10 a month for a cheap streamer. Netflix is now $20 plus, 22 or something. But nevertheless, it's just so much more affordable to stay at home. And, people are so much more willing to stay at home. The movie theater has the battle against inertia and inflation, and just there's so many more different options to be entertained now than there were even 20 years ago. Again, like I said, it's not a completely pessimistic time for movie theaters. They're doing better than a lot of people thought they would right now. But the problem is they're just not quite doing good enough. And maybe it's just this promotion, these 50% off things can somehow change the tide a little bit more. Who knows?
Yeah, it is slightly pessimistic, but maybe the movie business and the movie industry isn't going to be as lucrative as it once was, just plainly.
Yeah, that is probably the bottom line. But if you own a theater, then you don't want to admit that, because that means you're done. So
yeah, no thanks. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, look, side hustles fail when they consume all of your time. I mean, every single bit of it. The pros, though, work smarter with AI doing all the heavy lifting. To help you out, we just dropped the Side Hustle Accelerator database. You can search your exact problem for your side hustle, grab the perfect prompt, and get results. If you're struggling with marketing, content, and customer service, it's all solved in just seconds. This isn't just another tool, guys. It's your unfair advantage in a spreadsheet. So stop asking AI the wrong questions and start scaling with what actually works. You can get it for free in the link in our show notes. And you can stop right now, actually. Why don't you take a look down at those show notes and tap the link? You don't want to sleep on this.